What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Last and Thoughts Podcast. I am your host, Digital Relaxation. We are back again for another episode. And as always, as you guys enjoy what you hear, what you're going to hear, please be sure to share this podcast, rate it, all of that good stuff. And maybe you can't tell by the tone or I don't want to say the tone, but just, I guess, the sound of my voice. I'm still getting over a sickness, like it's kind of leaving my system now, but unfortunately, it's affecting my throat area, my voice. So I'm gonna try to do this quickly, even though I don't want to just force it, but I can't be talking for too long. I'm gonna be freaking coughing in your ears and whatnot. So I'm gonna try to avoid that as much as possible. So yeah. So to start this off with what I've been up to. I guess we can tackle what I just finished saying, the life part. Being sick. The sickness. The sickness was Kendrick's fault. That Super Bowl halftime performance done. That put a toll on me. Cause literally it happened that night. So and it was weird how it happened. It was just so random. Everything was going cool the whole day. Like I said, the game happened, the Super Bowl happened, the halftime show, all of that good stuff. And then I was getting ready to go to bed because I got work the next day. And it's as soon as I laid down, I started having pain in my chest, and I'm but it's a weird pain, when you're reacting to something, I don't know if it's an allergy or something, I'm reacting to something, and I started, coughing, I was choking or something. So I was I don't know if I'm reacting to something in the air, and I'm kind of coughing it out or whatever the situation. I don't know, it's weird. But thought much of it, so whatever, I'll just sleep it off, I guess. Woke up to a slight sore throat. I'm thinking, because also it's the weather, sleep with the cold air, prone to get a little sore throat. So I was that sucks. I hate having sore throats, but it is what it is. Get through my day. I don't really talk to people anyway, so get through it. And as I'm going to work, get to work, and starting to work, my body just slowly just shutting down. I'm just feeling terrible and ill. And let me mute my phone because all of a sudden people want to talk now. Yeah, so I'm just starting to feel ill. My body's shut down. I could barely move. And being that my job requires me to move a lot, it was kind of counterproductive. I can't really do nothing. So fortunately, I went as far as I could, and had to go back and let them know that I couldn't go any further. And went home to try to heal myself up. I didn't really know what was wrong. I don't really like to be out there self-diagnosing myself or whatever, but I also don't really like going to doctors either. So I was I'll just freaking probably rest it off. I don't know what happened. And it was bad. It was bad. It was pretty much a bad week. I've been sick the whole past week, and like I said, I'm still just getting over it. But physically, I'm fine. It's just I guess I'm still coughing and spitting out whatever the nastiness is still left in me. So unfortunately, my voice has to take a toll, and doing this podcast. And another thing I'm gonna talk about, kind of it's a hindrance to that. So like I said, I'm trying to get I'm trying to just get through this and hopefully not be dying. But yeah. Um, the thing I wanted to really talk about is not so much the sickness, but so much. This is probably the first time I would say I probably had a flu. But I would say this is probably the first time I had like a sickness like that, like a flu or whatever, like, you know, that immobilize you and whatnot, that leaves you kind of bed prone the whole time. It's the first time I had a sickness like that since I've been, you know, living on my own, and, you know, finding out like how, I don't know. I don't know how to word it. Like, I don't want to say you take things for granted or whatnot, but it is a strange feeling of helplessness, because it's like, you know, you've been through this before when, you know, when you're younger or whatever, you had your parents to help you and whatnot. You know, you couldn't go to school, and usually, you know, they help nurse you up and all of that, or if they take you to the doctor, whatever it is. It's so it sucks to where it's like, through all that experience, you know what to do. You know how to take care of yourself. You know the procedures you should take, what you should be doing, what you should consume, what you shouldn't consume. You should rest in your body and all of that. And you physically can't do it. I couldn't get up. I had to, like, you know, it was like fighting myself every time. I'm like, I need to get up because I need to do this, but I just can't get up and do it. So it's like, it's very helpless when you don't have no one else around to, like, just give you that extra, you know, that extra hand. Especially like, I need to eat something. I don't think I barely ate the whole week. Like, I need to eat something, like consume something, but like I don't have too much of an appetite. One, but you know, mostly you don't have a lot of appetite when you're sick. But usually that's when someone just come in like, you know, I got something for you, know, just try to eat this as much as you can. You know, they leave it by you. I gotta get up and make that myself, and then try to force myself to eat it. So there's a lot of times where I just didn't eat because I couldn't even muster the energy to get up to even make myself something to eat. So it was a very helpless feeling. So, but you know, once I was able to got a little physical strength from like being in a coma for like 2 days, because I was just in bed the whole time. You know, I went to go get some kind of medicine that can ease the situation. So I managed to get that, managed to eat a little something. So I'm just not completely just like deprived of anything in my body. And then just rest for the rest of the time, just chilled. And chill, I use light very loosely because my thoughts and my mind was very, very tormenting during my sickness. The dreams I was having, and I don't even know if I would consider some of them dreams. It was just very, very, very dark times in my head. And again, not being able to physically really do anything. It's like a lot of times I was just waking up in like cold sweat, and it's like I can't really pull myself out of bed to like shake it off, whatever. Like I'm just in the bed, just like feeling crappy mentally and physically. So it sucked. But we pulled through, got through it. Here we are. The next life thing to happen. This and a lot of this all happened this next thing that's been happening for like almost a month, but you know, part of it also happened during my time of being sick. A case of, you know, one little, I'm not gonna say little, but you know, when it's like one situation that happens and you like, all right, I think I should, like, you know, address the situation, and it turns into a larger situation. So of course we at the tail end of winter. I can't wait for it to be over, but you know, the tail end of winter is when it's usually brutal, because you know, that's when all the cold just going to pop up. So been getting a lot more colder than normal, Well, at least I mean, then the beginning of winter. So like, um, usually, I was able to get by with my little portable heaters, because mostly I just be in my room, and it would be cool. But then I leave my room. I talked about this on the last podcast, I'm sure. Leaving my room and it's freezing, and then the try to use the portable heater out there, and it's barely doing anything out there because it's a larger space. So trying to use my actual central air heater, and noticing like not hearing the heat pump. So I found out what it's called. No, the heat pump was inside. The HVAC outside wasn't turning on, so it wasn't circulating the air from outside and inside or whatever. So it was just the heat pump was just the only thing that was working inside. So like just stressing itself to work. So I'm like, yeah, I need to get this fixed, I guess, whatever. So happy someone come look at it. I don't know how much I talked about this on the podcast because, like I said, this has been like almost a month, and so the last podcast like almost 2 weeks ago. So I probably some of this was already happening during the podcast. I don't even know. So I don't even know where I left off. But just to give the whole summary, the technician came. He checked, to see, if anything is running from one spot to another to make sure to pinpoint where it's actually going wrong. And he was like, "Oh, so I noticed that everything's pretty much working fine, but when it gets to from like my thermostat to my HVAC, there's not an electric charge going on there. So it's trying to tell it to turn on, but the HVAC is not receiving the message, so it's not turning on. So it doesn't even know it's on." So he like, "Yeah, you just get you an electrician and see if they can figure that out, and then we can go from there." The lucky thing about the situation is he called me back like probably a day after I was at work when he called me. And he like, "Oh yeah, it just dawned on me. We actually newly just got an electric department, so we can send you one of our guys." So the good news here is that I only paid a one-time what's the word I'm looking for? Dispatch fee for these guys to come. So all the times they have came, I haven't been charged since then. For all the times they came here to check on things. So to have it under the same umbrella was good. Instead of going to different companies. So electric guy came in. He noticed for the most part like one of my fuses, I guess, blew out or whatever. He just reset it. And he like, "Yeah, I think it's fine now, but from now how to fix your heat, that's not my job." So like, all right, sent the good thing about these dudes, what I like about these dudes are they kind of like not instant, but for the most part instant. The same day, I called them up. I was like, "Yeah, so the electric dude came through. So like, where do we go from here?" And they sent the same dude that came last time right back the same day. So I had them both pull up the same day. And he was doing what he was doing. Noticed it was taking a little bit longer this time for him. So I guess like, yeah. So it is getting the proper voltage now. So, but the problem is, it's basically empty on the inside. So he's like, "I don't know, it must have been a leak or something." So he's like, "Oh, so the problem is like, we can send some people over, and he like send some people over to pinpoint the leak to see where it's at. Just doing that alone was going to cost a lot, and then the part depending on where the leak is, replacing that part tripled that price. So I'm like, bro, what the hell? And then he was like, no, I could call someone over here. He could probably give you another he could give you like another finance situation or whatever, what you should do. So I like, yeah, call that dude over here, because this sounds like a lot right now. And at the same time, I called my father, because my father is good with when it comes to like finance and knowing like the price of things and the worth of things. So I like, you want to pull up when this guy pull up, and we can just talk about it all together and see what makes sense. And we came to the conclusion that instead of just doing all of that, because they found out that my unit is like 15 years old, so it's like, yeah, we can find the leak or whatever and then fix the part and eventually fix it. The thing is that you're technically just putting a bandage on, the long-term problem is that this thing is old. Eventually it might crap out again. So it's best to just go with a whole new system and upgrade everything, because, it's your ancient. So, pretty much got into a situation with that. So I got a new heat thing installed, financing that. And that's where I'm at. So got a new heat system in my crib now, but money. Going into that, gaming, as I mentioned, with my voice. Yeah, I know I came back to streaming, but due to being sick, of course, I was out of action for that entire week. I went back to streaming a couple of days ago, well, a few days ago from when this uploads, and it was doing all right, but then started choking and dying on stream. I muted my mic so no one wanted to hear that, but still, you can see me on the webcam dying. So, but still just trying to get into my streaming. I finally figured out how to. Well, I won't say finally figured out, but I finally. Cause my cousin was like, "Oh, you should also just stream on TikTok too." While you at it, I was like, "Yeah, I guess." And lucky enough, as we're actually recording this, TikTok is officially back in America. I guess you can go back and download it now. So I got that working. So I'm streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok at the same time when I go live. So that was more helpful, because I got a little interaction on TikTok too, so it was nice. The streams help when you get interaction. I don't want to just be sitting there just playing the game, because I'm not a very expressive gamer. I sit there and lock in on the story and what's going on, and I keep it going. So if people would talk to me and ask questions or whatever, I could engage and talk about things, but I'll try my best to just say stuff or mention things that's important to the game for people who don't know the story. But I don't know how I'm sounding. I'm probably I feel like my voice is getting lower because I'm not trying to overdo it. But yeah. Aside from that, I've just been chilling, watching tech videos. One of my guilty pleasures, I won't even call it guilty, but one of my pleasures is watching gaming repair videos, like repairing consoles or modern consoles and whatnot. That's just something I always wanted to do, but never had obviously the space and the funds to do it. I'm not good at soldering and all that shit too, because I took home improvement in high school and I sucked at soldering. I be watching people do that shit on YouTube. I'm like, I don't know how y'all do it. Like, to pinpoint where the solder needs to go, it's like, I don't know how that works. I don't trust it, because like I put it there and then it just blobs all over the place, and it's like, bro, like just go right there. So I don't know. I don't trust my hands. If it's like a simple fix, like if I just gotta unscrew something, open it up, and move things around and screw it back in, like if it don't require me like soldering, we good. But looking at it, I'm like, oh, I want to like do some cool stuff. I've been looking at PS Vitas. Like, I don't know if I want to like buy a new shelf, my Vita, and like completely just trick it out and whatnot. But I don't know. We'll see. Music. Valentine's Day. I dropped my little mixtape. Only 5 songs. Nothing serious. Honestly, it's nothing serious at all. It's just because it took so long for me to drop my main project, which I'm dropping in April. Should have been dropped last year. I was like, let me just make something and just drop it. But yeah, that's all that was. People liked it. People enjoyed it. But you know, I wasn't expecting that. I only just put it on YouTube. Nothing too serious. Just today I noticed Joey Badass dropped a new song. I mentioned that he been going through his little East Coast, West Coast beef with other rappers. And this song seems to still be continuing that situation. So nice to see it, see where it goes. Right now, nothing's been serious. Like, it's just been a lot of people just making songs back and forth. It's like, oh, we know it's Tourist Dumb, but nobody ain't saying nobody's name right now. So it's like, I guess. So we're just having fun with it. Drake and Party dropped. Also, I think on Valentine's, they dropped the collab project. I don't know if I'm gonna listen to it. I don't even listen to Party. And Drake, the last Drake album I listened to was Views, and I'm not saying and as in it was bad, but and as in like the reason why I even listened to it to begin with wasn't like, oh, I really want to hear Views. It was just like, oh, I haven't heard a Drake album since Thank Me Later. Let me finally listen to a Drake album, especially now I'm in the age of like, I actually listen to albums now, so I just listen to singles. So let me actually just listen to an album, hear how this sound. I'm like, all right. Then from there on, I pretty much never listened to a Drake album, a new one since. So I don't even know if I'm gonna listen to this, to be honest. There's no Drake hate. It's like the beef never swayed my views on how I listen to Drake. When it comes to Drake, listening is the first 4 projects for me. His 3 mixtapes and the debut album, and that's as far as it goes with me in terms of like what I listen to. Cause like during pretty much his takeover time from Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, and all of that. That was, you know, the annoying, not the annoying, but that's like the I was rebooting my music taste, and you know, I didn't feel Drake fit my palette anymore. So, you know, that was that. But yeah, things I've been watching. I'm still watching Hell's Kitchen. I think I'm on season 6 now. I think when I last brought it up, I was like on season 3. So I've been like 3 seasons later. It's just fun to watch. Like I said, I enjoy watching cooking stuff too, along with watching tech stuff. But it's also fun watching like the competition side of it too. So it's cool. Watched the classic film. Well, Hood classic, Class Act. It's a movie by Kid and Play. I believe this is technically their second movie. They did House Party 1, and then they did Class Act. I believe Class Act came out in 92. I want to say, yeah. I want to say it came out in 92. I want to say the movie came, not them. The movie came out in 92. If I can see filmography. Oh no, House Party 2 came out. So it's House Party 1, House Party 2, then Class Act. Oh. Makes sense, because I feel like in terms of acting skills, because we don't really look at the hip hoppers turning into actors thing. It was still kind of fresh and new at the time. But Kid and Play is different. Kid and Play is different. So I know that that Boondocks episode where Riley was like talks to Gangsta Licious, and he like, you know who my favorite rapper was? Ice Cube. He's like, Ice Cube? You mean the dude who do family movies? The way I look at Kid and Play is how Riley looked at Ice Cube. Despite in terms of the time, obviously the House Party movies and Class Act came before I was born. Let me see, House Party 3 came out the year I was born, and it came out before I was born, so I wasn't even born when all these movies came out. So by the time I'm like, I'm conscious, I understand what's going on in life, and again, I got older brother and older cousins that I got my taste of music and movies that I like from them, because these are things they technically grew up on. So when I think about Kid and Play, I always thought of them as actors. I never really knew that they just did music on the side. I didn't know it was more so like like they really did music, and then they just gravitated towards the acting thing. Compared to like Ice Cube, I always knew he did music, and then I don't know, it's like I always knew he did music, and the transition into him doing movies, like legitly doing movies, it was like are we there yet? But like I always looked at his roles in like Higher Learning and what's that movie, Boys in the Hood, as like not so much cameos, but it's like I know that he's there as the like, oh, he's just a special dude there. Like watching Tupac in certain films, like I know Tupac is just he's the celebrity dude there in terms of like not being an actor. So I always like knew, but when it came to Kid and Play, it was like, oh no, they was just actors to me who just happened to like just do music somehow at some point in time. I mean, looking at their discography on Wikipedia, according to Wikipedia, they only dropped 3 albums. The last album came out in 91. That's when the second House Party movie came out. So I don't, not technically speaking, but technically speaking, they've been in acting, like in terms of mainstream. Of course, behind the scenes, when they were doing music and all that, that's another story. But in terms of mainstream, they dropped their first album in 88. 2 years later, they dropped the next album, and 1 year later, they dropped the last album. Not counting the soundtracks of the respective movies. So, what's that? 2? Technically 3 years, even though there's a gap between 89 and 90. Technically a 3-year span of a music career compared to the movie stuff. They had an animated cartoon in 90s. This was during their second album. So they was in the media during there. I don't know what the Earth Day special thing is. I'm not gonna count it. Then House Party 2, Class Act, I don't know what Bodyguards are, but they was in that. House Party 3. Like, you know, they've been in my range of actors compared to being music stars. Compared to like Will Smith, where it was like, oh, I knew Will Smith as an actor first, but hearing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song when you turn on the show, it's like, all right, you got a glimpse that he can rap. Then you watch the Man in Black movie, the first one, that he got the, Here Comes the Man in Black song. So it's like, all right, okay, he does a little rapping thing here. Wild Wild West came out, he did the song for that. I'm like, okay, he does rapping. And then he had some bangers, Get Jiggy With It, all of that good stuff. So it's like, oh, like, okay, it makes sense. So yeah, it wasn't like, oh, he just came out of nowhere just rapping. But yeah, I was trying to talk about the movie and I just went on this tangent. Class Act. In my head canon when I was young, I always looked at Class Act as a prequel to the House Party movies. Because I didn't know that they were technically, I didn't know the concept of just because you cast the same actors in movies and they kind of act similar in movies in a sense, doesn't mean that it's two separate roles and not the same universe. So I was always trying to piece together, because I knew that Class Act came out at least after the first House Party. I wasn't sure about 2. But in my head canon, it made sense that Class Act was the prequel, because obviously they didn't meet each other until Class Act, where the story of Class Act is basically Kid and Play characters are basically the complete opposite. Kid character is like the extremely nerdy, on the roll. He's gonna be, he's on to major and high academics and whatnot. Grew up in the suburbs with both his parents, and Play's character is like, the show. The movie starts off with him already in prison as a delinquent youth, just getting into trouble since he was young. No father figure, just his mom. And the concept of the movie is that they both are enrolled in the same high school, and during an accident they got their identity swapped on their files of school, like their record, because things wasn't digital back then, it was paper. So all it took was you just put your picture on another person's document and now you're that person. So that was the thing. So they found out that there was a switch up, but Play's character was like, well, I'm not very smart, but you are, so I want you to basically keep being me, so I can look like I'm doing good in school, so I won't go back to jail, because that's kind of like his agreement to being paroled. And the good news is, because Duncan is Kid's character and Blade is Play's character. Duncan is like, well, these colleges are looking at me, but the problem is that I'm not athletic, so I need to pass PE, so I need you to do that for me. Like, all right, sure. So they basically swap roles, and it was the whole thing of like Blade just trying to teach Duncan how to be quote unquote ghetto of the time period. So you're like, you got dressed with some swag, you gotta get you fly, do something about your hair because you had that stupid high top fade. And that shit was wild. And then just trying to teach him slang so he can talk like he's from the hood. And of course, watching it now, the slang is like, but it's still funny. So it's one of those stories, and yeah, And then I thought like house party had to happen afterward because Duncan had both his parents in class act, and then going into house party one of the main things was that, you know, his mother passed away, so it was just him and his father. But obviously the actors are completely different. So his father in class act, I mean, both his parents in class act was like, you know, suburbs, they black, but you know, they very, yeah, I believe in great things on my son, and very chipper and all of that. And then you watch House Party, and his dad is just straight up, like it makes sense in the storytelling aspect of, he went through this dynamic of losing his wife, so I guess it just led him towards being more like unstable as a father. So that was my headcanon of why his dad was like that in the movie. But not knowing that's two completely different universes. But yeah, that's my little what I've been up to. And speaking of, all of that good stuff, today's topic is about respecting your history. I know it's Black History Month at the time of this recording, but I'm not going to talk about that because this is talking about the whole theme of the podcast, self-growth and self-identity and self-love. You can't grow, you can't figure out who you are if you don't, look at those who came before you, and not so much in a historical sense. I mean, you can, but look at the legit people who came right before you. You got an older brother, you got your parents, your uncles, all of that. I like to look at my family and think about, where they were in life, and the path they went to, and why, especially going into parents, like why, why they was raising me the way they was raising me, and what was the parenting they was getting and whatnot. Of course, I mentioned several times about my situation with my parents, not lasting long as a couple, but both still being active parents. I'm appreciative for that. So, my father, I mean, and it's not even so much of I seen it because I didn't. It was more so, just the stuff that he been drilling in me, since I was young. He lets it be known what his history was, so that we don't repeat his history. So, my father and his father didn't have a great relationship growing up. I never met him. He was already passed away by the time I was born. So I don't even know what he looks like. I don't think I've seen a picture of him before. So I don't even know what that man looks like. But yeah, so not having a relationship with him, and then, the situation with his mother is like, he got a taste of freedom when he was young, being on his own for a little bit, because him and his mother moved somewhere, and I don't know what happened, but his mother had to move back, but he chose like, I'm gonna stay here so I can finish school. And he got the taste of being on his own. So the moment he got sent, he went to jail, and he had to go back. The realization of immediately, like, I got the taste of how it feels to be on my own, and now I'm immediately my mother's rules. My mother telling me to do this. My mother telling me like, all right, I'm out. So that's why he always been drilling it into my head of like, no, since I was 18, I've been moved out. Because but the thing is, like, when you're young, you just hear that, and it just sounds like he just added pressure on you. And that's part of the topic too, about like the whole generational gap and all of that. Like, they trying to throw on their past wisdom to you, but it's just sounding like like they want you to live up to a standard or whatnot. But it's like, yes, but also no, because like I said, due to my father not having a father, he doesn't know what it's like to be told things in a proper way, if I want to, lack of better terms. So how he's telling me things is like, it's like not so much it's a father, but also that dude on the street who's been through things, and you know, he's just trying to tell you like, yo, this is how it is, but he's your father at the same time. So you don't know how it's like hearing the message is like, sounds like he's talking to you in two different ways and you don't know how to take it. So it's like, yeah, he's, you know, like, yeah, man, since I was 18, I was already doing this, and you know, you still here, you know, you gotta learn how to get out the nest and all of that. And I'm just like, damn, bro, like, chill. So it's like, to us, it sounds like, damn, bro, like, you just trying to like, and like, again, the situation is different because it wasn't so much as like, you know, his mother threw him out. You know, that's the way you picture in your head when you hear these stories. Like, oh, like, you know, I got kicked out the house. Man, I've been on my own. But it wasn't so much that. It was just so much he got an opportunity to experience being on his own. So the moment he went back, which, I mean, you know, the whole legally when you're 18, if you leave your house, you know, legally, it's not like the cops can like, well, you know, can't really drag him back because he's technically an adult, even though that's stupid, but you know, it is what it is. So it's like he got the taste of that, and it's like, you know, I'm old enough to be on my own, so I'm just gonna go be on my own. He made a choice. It wasn't like it was thrust upon him. So he makes it feel like, when he tells me, he makes it feel like it's gonna get thrust upon me, because it's like, and he does bring up, and you know, that it's a bad thing, you know. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna say my parents is perfect, but you know, trying to, I don't know if I want to say guilt trip with you, like, you know, like, worst come to worst, something happens to me, then what? You know, where you gonna go? And I'm like, damn, like, what the, like, come on, no, I don't want to think about that. Like, I get it, like, it's possible, and he's right, but at the same time, like, damn, bro, I'm still a teenager. Like, my worry shouldn't be if my parents are still alive or not. My worry should be for, you know, finishing school and all of that. This podcast is gonna sound mad gross. I'm trying my best, man. I'm trying to get through this, but, and I didn't want to force it, but I'm trying to keep the schedule. That's the only reason why. So bear with me. This is one episode. We're almost there. But yeah, I shouldn't be focused on what's gonna happen if my parents die. Like, I need to start, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, you know, am I supposed to, like, let me just rush out and get a job and just start saving money? Which I'm pretty sure that's what he wanted. And, like, you know, that's what parents who have that background, that upbringing, like, you know, yeah, I was already working when I was 16 and all of that. You know, you need to do something. And I'm like, bro, like, chill. And I mean, I'm sure, you know, I would, if I was in a better space, I probably would have followed through with that. But the problem was me. You know, high school days. You know, I made it very clear plenty of times where my headspace was in that time period. Like, the reason why this podcast exists is because of that time period. I wasn't. You know, I wasn't happy with life, so I wasn't thinking about, you know, how I should be setting up my future and all of that, because I wasn't thinking about my future, period. So it's a weird thing. I can't fault my father on how he was raising me. It just circumstances and timing. I think that's where a lot of it comes down to. Like, again, you know, I talk about my history and whatnot. Again, having an older brother, a 5-year gap. It might not be a lot to some people, but when it comes to like schooling and, you know, trying to raise someone, it can be a big gap, because while my brother is trying to prepare himself to graduate high school, I'm still in middle school. Like, so he, in a sense of terms of like trying to prepare me for a world that I'm still like, I still got some time before it could get to me. It was like, so he's still spending, he's spending time with my older brother because like he's closer to like, get the age I was when I moved out on my own. So now that he's at this age, now I'm drilling it in his head, like, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna go on your own, what you gonna do? You gonna work, what you gonna do? So, he was focusing on him. And that wouldn't have been a problem. But the issue, not an issue, but again, timing and circumstances. The circumstance was sometime before this happened, my father learned that he had two other kids through his mishaps through his younger. Now, when you say younger days, because I was alive when it happened, but during that time where my parents' relationship wasn't surviving, timing and circumstances. By the time he found out about it, then by the time he extended his hand on, like, it's not like I was trying to hide from them or run away from them. I just didn't know y'all existed, and of course I didn't know if y'all was mine. So once he found all of that out, then it was like, I extended my hand out. Now I want to be a father to you guys. So in a sense, I kind of had to get pushed back in the line again, because it's like I have to learn these new people now. So I know I already have, me and my father. It is what it is. We know each other, so he doesn't have to be on top of teaching me and whatnot. So it's like he'll poke his head in to make sure I'm still good, but he has to focus on learning these two new kids. I would call them kids, but for him as kids, he's in a relationship that's leading to a marriage. She has two kids. He has to build a relationship with them too. So he's juggling 5 kids, like trying to learn and manage 5 kids. Not completely, but trying to put his input on where he's gonna be in each of these kids' lives in one shot. So I can't fault my father for he did the best he could with the timing and the circumstances, along with working his ass off, doing what he gotta do to provide this life for us. So by the time he got to me, it was kind of too late. So, unfortunately, because I let myself, become vulnerable to my emotions and my thoughts. So him trying to drill things into me now when it's like I'm at my sophomore, junior year of high school now, and I'm like, yeah, you kind of, yeah, I don't know what's going on. You're throwing this stuff on me out of nowhere. So it's like, not out of nowhere, but it feels like it was just, yeah, figure life out. So yeah, then going into my mother's situation is different because, again, I didn't see her upbringing because my mother wasn't born here. Her family, like I said, half of my family is on a whole nother country. So when I see them, is when I see them. So by the time I see them, it's like, everything's kind of established. So it's not like I got to see my grandmother raising my mom, not so much raising my mom, but just being there. Like, at least I got to see my grandmother around my father, and I got to see like the relationship be more father-son, like seeing how my father acts around her, how they talk to each other, how they get along with each other and all that. With my mother and her mother, again, because I don't know what the situation is when it comes to me and my grandparents. Well, my grandfathers. My father's side, I have no clue who he is. My mother's side, I know him, but she didn't really have a great relationship with him. And there was actually another man who she kind of viewed more as a father figure who, unfortunately, not recently, but, in our adulthood time frame, he recently passed away. Um, so I don't know the family dynamic between them. So whenever I see my grandmother with my mom or whatnot, it's mostly because it's like it's a vacation setting. It's not so much of she's here, she's home. Like I can see that bond. It's like it's mostly like, oh, like grandmother's visiting us, yeah. So let's take her places and make her have fun. So it's like, no, it's more so about just making her happy rather than, I mean, I did see like I I guess I did see the parents and like, whenever my mom or whatnot get mad at us, and she get on our mom like, why you doing like why you yelling at them and whatnot. But again, I don't know the family dynamic, and again, my mother's situation is different because I guess similar situation. I guess that's something I should ask. Learn your history. I don't know what prompted my mother to come to America. But I think she did all her schooling back where she's from. And when she was 18, she just said, I mean, I don't know, but like, she just said, hey, I'm just gonna go to America. and then just packed up and left. So I don't know much about who came first, but she has she has two brothers. She's a middle child. I think she's a middle child. Yeah, she's the middle child. She has an older brother and a younger brother. I know I'm in a weird sense. I'm not gonna say I know one more. The older brother, he lives here. In a sense, I know him as he's always around here. He's one of the only few family members who's like, he's here. I can see him, but he'll be everywhere. He'll be everywhere, but he's here for the most part as well. He has a home here. That's what I'm saying. He has a life here. So I don't know if he was already here and that she followed behind, or if it was kind of a same timing thing. I don't know that history, but that'll be something interesting to know. But yeah, she came here, and eventually me and my dad and the situation. But again, the situation of her just being on her own and not even like like she's in a new city like my dad was when he was on his own for the first time. A different state, but like a whole new country. So for her to figure her situation out, to figure out how she managed to maneuver through life and get to where she is currently in life, where I got to see a lot. When I was younger, watching her, she used to work in like a 99-cent store, and I used to think that was the coolest thing ever when I was young, because I used to go to work with her sometimes or visit her from work when I started going to school, like kindergarten. And just being in the store and just seeing all the stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, and of course, kids just seeing all the cool stuff, like, oh, can I get this? I'm like, bro, I'm working. Not shopping. But when she did come through for us, and Pokemon was the thing at the time. Pokemon was fresh and new in America. She used to bless us with some cards, man. That was a great time. And then my father at the time was working as a school bus driver, so he eventually, and again, great thing about this relationship, they weren't together at this time, but again, like I said, they both were active parents. They both managed to keep cool with each other, so they was able to co-parent together. It's not like they can't stand seeing each other. The relationship just couldn't work, but they still cool with each other. So my father was like, hey, I can get you into this job that I'm doing too. So which she's doing to this day. So, hopefully she gonna retire soon, but got her into school bus driving. My father went from that to work being a city bus driver. So that, but yeah, they know that dynamic of looking out for each other and being there. So like again, in my last episode, I mentioned about relationships and whatnot. Like, you know, just because the relationship don't work, don't mean a friendship can't still be there either as well. That's a great thing too to learn, and take notice, just to see how both of them, maneuver, just see how both of them grew up. You know, like my mom was probably in. Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna go into technical, but like going into like by the time I was aware of things and like I'm in school and they was broken up, like my mother probably was in her early 30s, probably just turning 30, and my father was in the age difference. He was like his mid to late 30s. So I'm in my 30s now. So to see what they were doing, you know, in their 30s, you know, they already have 2 full-fledged kids. My brother at the time was in 5th grade. I was in kindergarten. I started one time, me and my brother shared school together. And then looking at me, pathetic, no, I'm stopping, but looking at me, like, you know, seeing the situation I'm in and whatnot, and what I'm doing in life, you know, there's, you know, comparisons. I'm doing something that they both ain't managed to do until they was well into their adulthoods, and they're doing things that I'm still not even close to doing. So it's nice to just see how everyone's path went, to see how people grow, to see how people develop, and see how it shapes you to become who you are by seeing other people's path and learning their path and studying their past. But that's mostly it though. So if it sounds like I've just been randomly abruptly coming back and leaving or whatever, that's because I've been choking. So my voice has reached its limit. I can't talk no more. I'm getting a headache from literally like coughing my lungs up. So I'm going to end this podcast now. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I just hope you guys enjoy it. Share it. And until the next episode, have a great day. Have a great week. Let me see. Yeah, this is the last episode of this month. Enjoy the rest of your February. I'll see you guys next month. And yeah, peace.